Summaries are used to organize and sort all of the information that you've entered into Studiometry and display it in useful ways. That's sort of a vague description, but the reason why is because summaries are so flexible. You can do so many different things with them. Basically, if you aren't using summaries, you're missing out on probably the most powerful feature in Studiometry. In this video, we'll go over 4 topics: the difference between custom summaries and built-in summaries, creating custom summaries, using on-the-fly summaries, and using built-in summaries. First up is the difference between custom summaries and built-in summaries. As you can probably tell from their names, custom summaries are summaries that you can set up yourself and customize, whereas built-in summaries have a specific function that you wouldn't be able to accomplish using custom summaries. You can access built-in summaries and custom summaries through Studiometry's Summaries menu. Here we have the option to create a new custom summary, and then below that we have a saved list of Studiometry's custom summary presets. And these are just custom summaries that we've already created before and saved to Studiometry to be able to pull back up easily. And then at the bottom here we have our built-in summaries. Now these are different than the custom summaries in that these are pre-made summaries in Studiometry that you can't modify, but you can use to generate certain information that you couldn't necessarily create using Studiometry's custom summaries. So later in this video we'll go into all the details about how these work, but that's basically the difference between your custom summaries are up here and then the built-in summaries are below that in the list. So next up is creating custom summaries, and to do that let's just start by selecting Summaries menu, New Custom Summary. So this brings up the Edit Summary window, and this is where we can set up all of the different variables and settings and tiers and fields and everything that we want in our custom summary. This is a really powerful window, and there's a ton of settings in here, but it's organized in a pretty helpful way to help us kind of see how the summary will play out when we actually generate a summary. So first at the top here we have the summary name, and this will display on the summary when it's created, and it will also be used if we choose to save this summary to our list of presets. So again, if we hit Save to Presets after we edit this summary, it will always show up here in the Summaries menu under our presets. So once we set all of this up, if we want to easily come back and generate the summary again, we would just click on the Summaries menu and then choose it from here. So it's really easy to pull up a summary once we've created it. So let's name the summary. And then let's go into what all of these other settings are here. Now, first we're going to skip down to this pop-up menu here above the list that currently says All Debt Credits. And if we click on that, we can see a lot of different options. Now, custom summaries in Studiometry focus on 3 main things. It can either be a summary of your debt credits, which are work and expense items in Studiometry, which these top, 10 rows or so, those are all based on debt credits. As you can see, it's just different types of debt credits. The second thing that it can be based on is invoices. And the third is payments. So when you're creating a summary, it has to be based on an item type, such as debt credits or invoices or payments. And then from there, you can organize and sort and filter those based on the items that these items are related to. So once we kind of start setting this up, that should make a little more sense. But really, this is the first selection that you'll want to make when you're creating a new custom summary, is what items you'll want to be summarizing. Now, obviously, the most common is probably going to be your work, so we're going to create a summary here for our work. And we'll just leave it at all debt credits for now, but again, you can filter by different types of work through changing this menu. So after that, let's just look at this list down here. Since we have all debt credits selected here, we can see that there's a row here for debts. And this is basically because this summary is based on the debts. The bottom item will be debts. If we changed this to invoices or any of the invoice selection, it would change to invoice here. And if we changed it to payments, it would change to payment here. So basically, whatever we select from this list is what the summary will have as the main item that will be displayed. So now with these settings here, if we were to click View Summary, Studiometry would produce a summary that is just all of the debt credits in our program that are associated with live projects in a flat list. So it would kind of be a big mess, but let's just click it to see how it shows up. So when I hit View Summary, it's just a big list of all the work items. So this isn't very useful. So if we wanted to go back and make changes again to the custom summary, we would just hit this edit icon here, and this will bring back our edit summary window. Okay, so that's what will happen if we don't add any of these grouping tiers. It'll just create a big flat list of information. And that can be useful if you wanted to, show all of the items or all of the items between certain dates. But where summaries really become useful is when you start adding what's called grouping tiers. And to do this, you just click on the plus button here, and it'll bring up the things that you can group the items by. So for all of your work items, they're all going to be associated with a client and a project and possibly an employee, and then they're all going to have a type, and then they're all going to be within a year, a month, or a week, or a day that they were created. So we can have the summary group all of the items in the summary based on these things. So if we wanted to show every project and then every work item on the project, I would just add a grouping tier for project. So what this would do then is when I hit view summary, it will show all of the projects and then all of their work on the projects. So if I hit view summary, we can see every project and then all of the work for that project and then a total. So it's a little more organized now. It's not just one flat list because we have that project grouping tier. So if I go back and edit it again, now let's say we wanted to see project and then all of the work types for that project. You can see we can add many different grouping tiers to further and further organize and group all of these det items that will appear on the summary. So now if I hit view summary, it would show me every project, and then it would split all of the work for that project into the work type that was done, and then we would show the individual items. So if I hit view summary, we can see here we have the project, and then we have all of the design work, and then we have a subtotal for design work, and then we have all of the expenses and hourly, and then we have the subtotal for the entire project here. So it's just more and more tiers to organize and sort the information on the summary. So now as we create this, you may not always want to show all of these individual items. For example, if you wanted to create a summary that just showed you all of the projects and all of the work that was done on them, but you didn't want to see the individual work items, you just wanted to see the subtotals for the amounts and maybe the hours done for each work type. You can do that using custom summaries. If we edit the summary again, you can see here next to the det item, there's this checkbox for show. If we have it checked, which we currently do, it will show each individual work item down here in the list. But if we uncheck it, and then we view the summary, it will no longer show the individual work items. It will just show the grouping tiers that were associated with those items. So you can see here now, it just shows the projects and then the work types, but we don't list out every single piece of work. So here the summary is just showing us the information associated with those work items, but it's not showing us the individual work items. So now let's say maybe we don't want to show every single project in this summary. Maybe we only want to show projects that have a certain status. We can do that as well. So if we wanted to filter which projects appear, we would go back to the edit summary. And then now if we look under the project here, there are several options over here. We have how we sort the projects, how we filter the projects, and the fields that are shown on each project. And for each tier here, you have these options. So we can sort this summary based on the projects, we can sort and filter the sub-tiers based on the next tier, and then we can also sort and filter the individual items as well. So you have a ton of control in this small area about how the summary is produced. So if we wanted to filter this summary based on a specific project status, I would just click on this filter column under the project row and then select status, and this will bring up a menu where we can select which projects will appear. So if I say development ready for invoice and invoice sent and then hit OK, we'll see here that 3 statuses are now selected for the project. And if I wanted to be able to actually see the status of the project right next to the project name in the summary, we can change that as well. Under the show fields, I'll just click this and we can change which fields will appear for each project. So I'll check status, and then we can see here that the icon, which is the project icon here, the name of the project, and then the status will appear the next time I hit view summary to refresh the summary. So now let's hit view summary. And we can see here we have the project name and the status, and now this is filtered. It's a much smaller summary because it only includes projects that match those 3 statuses. So something else you may be thinking is currently all we're seeing here is the total for each type. But maybe we want to see the hours that are associated with this, or some other information related to the work items themselves. You can do that as well. If we click the edit button and we go back, the fields that are shown for the actual item on the summary, this will affect what fields are shown here and the totals for that as well. So if I click on this column, we can see there are a lot of other options here. So we can enable hours, and then rate, cost, profit, a lot of other things. Some of these are related to the individual item itself, such as name, you can see here. This will only appear if we have this show checkbox checked, because we will see the name of the individual item. But other things, such as hours and amount and profit, these are the totals that the entire summary is based on. So these will be shown for the grouping tiers as well. So if I close this and then I hit View Summary, the summary will now include both hours and amount. Now at the top of this window we can see that it says All Dates. What that means is that this information is from the entirety of our Studiometry database. It's not filtered by any date filter. So if we wanted to, for example, only show information about what was worked on in a current time period, we can do that. And to do that, we'll go again back to the Edit Summary window, and we'll look at this Dates section up here. Now, All Dates is the default, but if we click on this list, we have a lot of other options here. You can see that these are all relative to the current date. So items such as today, or this week, or this month, or the previous 30 days, all of these will display the items based on when you create the summary. So if we go in and create a summary and view it for the previous 30 days, today, it will show us today and 30 days before today. If we go back in 3 months from now and create the same summary and view it, it will show us the previous 30 days from that date. So these are all relative to the date that the summary was created. Now, if you wanted to create a custom summary for a fixed date period, you can do that here and then just type in the dates here. So if we, for example, selected previous 30 days, Studiometry will automatically fill in the dates, and then whenever we view this summary, it will update these dates to be previous 30 days from whatever day that we view the summary on. So if I hit View Summary here, we can see it's the previous 30 days, and then we can see this is the work that was done in the previous 30 days. So it filters it down even more. It's still using the same tiers, the same filtering, the same display options, but it's now filtering it based on specific dates. So in addition to filtering the entire summary by dates, we can also actually use dates as another grouping tier here. So to do that, we'll go back to the Edit menu, and I'm just going to switch this to All Dates. And then I'm going to remove the grouping tier of debt credit type, and I'm going to replace that with month. And now what this will do is show me each project and then group together the work that was done each month for that project. So I'll just hit View Summary so you can see what that means. So now we can see that for certain projects we worked on specific months and the amount of work done during those months. So it's taking it and going by project and then by month and displaying those items. So if we wanted to see each individual item within those months, we would again go back to the Edit menu and then click Show. And then here, when we hit View Summary, you'll kind of be able to see, oh, in July of 2009, these items, July of 2009, were worked on for this project. And it will sort and filter the items based on the month. So again, if we go back to the Edit option, there are several different dating tiers we can use. If I remove month, we can add it by year, month, week, and day, and that will just sort and organize the items based on their date into those groups. One other thing to note, though, relating to the month tiers is that if you're using debt credits or payments, the date used will just be the date for the item. However, for invoices, you actually have multiple types of dates on invoices. So if I select all invoices here, we can now see that this dated by option is enabled. And for that, we can select what type of date that we will be sorting the items by. It will either be the invoice's date issued, date due, or date paid. But if we create a new grouping tier, and we wanted to show all of the invoices issued in each year, we would select date issued. If we wanted all of them that were paid year to year, we would select paid. So that's how you'll differentiate between the different dates on the invoice when you're going to be sorting or grouping by year or month or any other type of date in the summary. So while we have it set up like this, we can actually look at something else. When we have any tier here, we can change the sorting of the tiers. So if I click on this, you can see we can sort this tier by date, which would then show the years sequentially, or we can sort it by hours or the total. So if I sorted this by total, Studiometry would organize all of the invoices into the different years that they were created, and then it would show them basically in a descending list based on the total invoiced. So if I hit View Summary here, now we have a summary that shows a descending list of the years and the individual items within the year and the totals. So it's, there's so many things that you can do with these custom summaries just by switching around the tiers and the filtering and the sorting. So let's look at one other common example of something people like to do using custom summaries. I'm going to go back again to the Edit Summary window. And now let's say we want to create a summary that shows us just information about projects. We don't really care about invoices or payments or debt credits, but we just want to see something specific related to clients and their projects. And we can actually do that in here even though the base item, there is no base item for projects. So to do that, I'm just going to switch from all invoices to all debt credits. I'm going to add a new grouping tier for client and then one for project. So then we'll see all the clients and then all of the projects. And then I'm going to uncheck the show button here for debts. And so if I hit View Summary, then it will show me all the clients and then all their projects. That's cool, great. But the problem with this is this will only show me items or projects where there is actually work added to those projects. So maybe not every project will appear in this summary. And if we still wanted projects to appear here that aren't necessarily containing work items, we can do that. So we would go back to the Edit window, and then we would go to Summary Options at the bottom here. And then there's an option to hide tiers totaling 0, which is the default. But if we uncheck this, then projects or clients that don't have work items associated with them will still appear. They'll have a total of 0, but they'll appear. So if I hit Done, and then View Summary again, now this will include all of the projects and all of the clients. We can see here that clients that don't even have projects will appear. But that's one way to display information even if we don't necessarily have work items or payments or invoices associated with those items. So we could use this summary now if we edited it and say we didn't want to see any amounts or anything related to the work items themselves, but we wanted to see more information about the projects and the clients. We could do that as well. We could show specific details about the project, maybe a start date, and then information about the clients. We can have their category and their ID. And then when I hit View Summary, we can see here there's a lot of information about the clients and the projects, and we don't have any of the details about the work items because we don't really care about that right now. So although it is based on work items, technically there aren't actually any work item details in this summary. So it's really just showing the flexibility of what you can do using all of these different tiers to display a lot of information in a lot of detailed ways using Studiometry's custom summaries. And before we finish up with the custom summaries, I wanted to look at one other option. In the Summary Options window here, we have split timer intervals. And what this will do is if you use running timers in Studiometry, and say you start a timer on Monday and then you use it all week, pausing it and restarting it throughout the week. If you don't have this split timer intervals checked, then that timer will all go into the day of whenever you created it the first time, the date for that timer. But if you do have split timer intervals checked, Studiometry will split up each interval into the days that they were worked, so that if you're filtering by dates or displaying items based on dates, it will have a more accurate description and presentation of when the work was done on that timer. So this is basically, it will split that timer into multiple items based on the date that it was run in Studiometry. Okay, so now let's say that we're done. We've got our custom summary set up exactly how we like it. We don't want to have to come in here every time we want to produce this summary and set up all these filters and fields and everything. We want to be able to easily access it. So to do that, we would just click this Save to Presets button, and then we can see Summary Preset successfully saved. Now, if we're in Studiometry, anywhere else, and we want to pull up that summary again, we can just go back to the Summaries menu and then select it from the presets, and then Studiometry will present us with all of that information that we set up. So it's a much easier way to pull up summaries, and this will be stored in your Studiometry database, so every time you launch, it will be easily accessible. One thing to note, these presets are stored on each machine, so they won't sync between machines, so you can keep your own list of summary presets. If you wanted to share them with somebody else or save them to file or manage them in any way, you would select Edit Presets here, and then you can do that from this window. You can use the export or import buttons to save them to file and then import files of summaries that maybe somebody else created, but that can all be done here. So next up is on-the-fly summaries. So now if we go back to this new custom summary window, and now I'm just going to create a secondary custom summary really quick. I'm going to call it on the fly because we will be using this for our on-the-fly summaries, but you can name it whatever you want. Now if I had a grouping tier for projects, and let's say I wanted to see all work done in the past 90 days, and I hit View Summary. This will show me all of the projects that have work done in the past 90 days and the information for that work, which is great. This is great. I'm going to add another grouping tier to this actually as well. I'll group it by work type as well. So I'll hit View Summary and it will show me each project and then the work type done, and it's only including work from the previous 90 days. So this is a really useful summary if I wanted to view this. But there might be a situation where I just wanted to view this summary for one project, just to see for that project all of the work done for the past 90 days sorted by work type. And to do this, we would use on-the-fly summaries. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that our summary is saved to our list of presets. So I'll hit the Edit button again, and then I'll just hit Save to Presets, and it'll say, okay, we saved this to our presets. Now, if I close out of all of this, again, we can easily come up to the Summaries menu and view that summary, but this is still just going to show it for all projects. But if I wanted to show it for a specific project, I could actually go to any project in Studiometry's projects list, and then from the project overview, which if you're not currently at the project overview, you can just click on this menu up here and select Project Overview. But from here, we're going to click on this icon here, which is the on-the-fly summary button. If we click on this, it'll bring up our list of summary presets, but if we select any of these, it will actually filter it using the current project. It will automatically add a new filtering tier and filter by just this project. So if I hit on the fly here, it will now show me any work done for the previous 90 days on this project, and it will still use all the other settings from the custom summary. It will still filter by work type. It will still display the fields that we selected to display for each item, but it will only show this for the current project. So we can produce this custom summary for any project in Studiometry. I can go to another project, use the on-the-fly summary menu and select that summary, and it will show me the previous 90 days for that project. The other really cool part is that we can actually do this for clients as well. So if we went to a client and we selected on-the-fly summaries and we selected our summary, it would create a grouping tier for that client. So it would show us all of the projects within that client, but still use as many of the same settings as before. So we can see for this client, the 3 projects that had work done over the previous 90 days. And it's a really flexible and very useful way to use our custom summary presets and produce more customizable content based on a specific client or project. So those are the custom summaries and how to use custom summaries as on-the-fly summaries. Now obviously there are just a ton of different ways that you can use custom summaries to produce output in Studiometry, but there are a few things that you can't do with them. And we've created what's called built-in summaries for some of these scenarios. As of right now when we're recording this training video, there are currently 4 built-in summaries in Studiometry. Now we may add more in the future, and if you have any questions about any future built-in summaries or anything else related to this custom summary video, you can always contact us at support.orange.net. But for now, we'll look at a couple of the built-in summaries. To get to these, again, we go up to the Summaries menu, and then at the bottom we have our list of built-in summaries. Now, one of the more popular ones is the project quoted versus actual, and if I click on this, it will bring up a different type of summary viewing window, but it's still pretty similar. It will show us all of the projects, and then their quoted amounts compared to their actual amounts. So for hours, it will show us their estimated hours compared to their actual hours, and then the comparison, the difference between the two. And then for the amount as well, it will show us the estimated amount compared to the actual amount, and then the comparison. And this is a program-wide summary where it will show all of our projects. Now, we don't have all of the customization features that we have in custom summaries, but we can change a few things. We can filter it based on live or non-live items. We can sort it based on specific fields here. And we can also filter the projects based on their status or the client that they're associated with. And then in addition to that, we can enable or disable certain fields that will appear on this built-in summary. So we have a little bit of control over it, but really the main point here is that this built-in summary we would not be able to produce using the custom summaries. You wouldn't be able to get this information or have them displayed in specific colors. So that's why this is just one of the built-in summaries in Studiometry. Another useful built-in summary is the invoiced work types. When we bring this up, it will show us a list of all of the invoices within our date range, and it will show us each work type on that invoice with a subtotal. And then at the very bottom, it will show us the subtotal for all of the work types that are on this summary. Now, the reason why this can't be produced as a custom summary is because for custom summaries, we would be able to show, for example, each work type and then all of the invoices within there, but we can't go the other way around where we'd show each invoice and then all of the work types within the invoices. So this kind of works backwards and shows the information in a different way. So again, this will just show us every invoice that lies within the date range that we have here, and it will show us the work types on those invoices with a subtotal at the bottom for both all of the invoices and for each work type for that date range. So this can be a very useful summary for just looking at the type of work that you're invoicing for a certain period. And the final built-in summary that we're going to look at in this video is if we go to Summaries menu and select Employees Assigned Projects. This will show us every employee and the projects that they're currently assigned to. Now we can filter this list to only show projects of certain statuses, and we can also filter it to only show certain employees, but this is a good way to show us what every employee is currently working on. We again have the option to change the display fields to include information about the project, so we can actually see where a project is at, or status or category, or the amount of work done on a project. But if we just remove a couple of these fields here to clean it up a little bit, we can see that really the main use of this is to see each employee and then their list of assigned projects. So a project can appear on here multiple times. Like, for example, Amanda's list of assigned projects includes this pinup model shoot, but Colin's list also includes that same project. But this will show us each employee and then all of their assigned projects, so we can kind of get a quick overview of what employees are working on. Now, just to go off on a quick tangent related to this built-in summary, if you don't know how to assign employees to projects, you can do that in Studiometry's main window. When you select any project and you're in the project overview, there's this employees list with a plus button next to it. And if this doesn't appear here, you can go to the gear icon on the bottom and click that and select Customize Overview and make sure that Projects Employees is checked. But this is where employees are assigned to projects. You can assign multiple employees to any project, and you can assign roles, but that's where this the employees assigned project will pull its information from. So now if I pull back up the employees assigned projects custom summary here and I hit refresh, it will now show us that Amanda's been also assigned to 2016 Q1 work. But you can see that that's where this summary pulls its data from, is the projects themselves, who's assigned to it. And that's another reason why that is not possible using the custom summaries, because that's not even a field that you can filter or really show information about using custom summaries. Okay, so that's it. That's how you can use summaries in Studiometry to view a lot of information all at once in a lot of different ways that may be useful to your business. So if you have any questions about this or anything else related to Studiometry, please get in touch with us at support.oranged.net.